New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. Divine Science Everywhere features divine science ministers and other New Thought guests discussing the principles and practice of divine science. I am Reverend Joy Fletcher, and I'm so happy that you've joined us today. I'm serving as the president of Divine Science Ministers Association, a member of Divine Science Federation International, a lifetime member of International New Thought Alliance, as well as an executive board member and a member of ANTN. And I happen to be a fifth generation New Thought student. So we welcome you. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe.
Thank you, Reverend Joy. She brings such a calm, even energy because I'm a little more frenetic. Bishop Durrell, he's just out there on a limb. But it's nice to have you with us. Divine Science is everywhere. And you can find us on Facebook, me particularly, Giatti Ministries, Giati Ministries on Facebook. And look for us, like Joy said, here on New Thought Media Network. And if you hang out for a couple of hours after our show, I'll be back with Reverend Michael Mangas to do Friday's Fireside Chat on New Thought Media Network. So not only is Divine Science everywhere, but so am I. Bishop Durrell, how are you today?
I'm really good. I am Durrell Watkins. I am the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale, sunshinecathedral.org. I am the dean of the Samaritan Institute. I am the president of Divine Science Federation. I'm a life member of INTA. And I'm one of the lucky co-hosts of this show. I'm also an honorary member of ANTN. They do that to show, just how one we all are. We're all a family. So every once in a while they'll just say, hey, you can be part of us. And they did that. So we have a lot going on and a lot to talk about today and a super special guest. But before we dive into all that, and because once we get in there, there's no reining us in. I am the Red Bull of New Thought. But first we need the calm of New Thought. And Reverend Joy always opens us up with a centering moment.
Thank you. So let's take a few moments to become still and set aside the busyness and the tasks, whatever we were involved with before we came to this moment. And remember, this moment is what matters. So allow your breath to soften and deepen. And allow yourself to arrive here fully, gently, completely here. You're not becoming anything. In fact, you are already something holy. You are divine science in expression. You are every part and particle an expression of this divine science, of God, of good, of divinity. So let that settle in your being. You are the expression of this divine science, this perfection, this wholeness, allness, perfect life, perfect love, and perfect wisdom. In this divine science, we know that goodness, God, the divine, is omnipresent, which means that this moment and every moment is holy. This life, your life, is the expression, again, of this divine science everywhere. So as we come back to this moment, let us remember that the law of expression, fully understood, is of the greatest value to us. It is the way by which we come forth. And that is a quote from Divine Science, its principle and practice.
Thank you, Reverend Joy. Now, before we get into all of the good stuff, I do want to remind everyone, or if it's your first time with us, this will be new news to you. I want to tell you about an exciting opportunity for New Thought practitioners, students, and really anyone at all, especially people who are on a path or thinking of beginning a path of spirituality. We are charting a new course. The Divine Science Federation International and Divine Science Ministers Association, working hand in glove closer than ever before. We're even sharing a retreat in November. So we invite you to join us from November the 2nd to November the 6th, 2025, as we gather aboard the Ultra Deluxe MSC Seashore for 5 days and 4 nights for our first of its kind retreat on the water, sailing from Port Canaveral, Florida, with ports of call in Nassau and Paradise Island, the Bahamas, and MSC's private multi-million-dollar island, Ocean Cay. Guests will get the chance to renew old friendships and make new ones as we deepen our understanding of New Thought through meditation and meeting and relaxing and partying and excursions and some more partying. We will truly be charting a new course. And all of this for a starting price of only $299, with additions available to make this retreat perfect for you. Someone asked me the other day if I'd write a little blurb about it, and he said, and tell people why they should be interested in this cruise. Because it's a $300 cruise. That's why. It's $299, 5 days, 4 nights in the Bahamas in the wintertime. That's why it sells itself. But for more information or to reserve your spot, visit Sunshine. I always say that because I say it 11,000 times a day. You can visit that too. It'll get you there too. But visit divinesciencefederation.org, divinesciencefederation.org, and click on events. Now, before we get into some rowdy conversation, let's take a quick commercial break here at Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, today it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest, Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, a true Imagineer, brings his many years of being a professional educator, visual artist, performer, ASL interpreter, author, and lover of comics and film to all areas of his life and his ministry, which for him extends beyond the church and center. He is ordained Centers for a Spiritual Living Minister. He serves as the founding minister and the spiritual director of the Center for Spiritual Integrated Arts. You can reach that by going to www.spirituallyintegratederarts.org. A Centers for Spiritual Living Teaching Center. He is both a frequently sought-after guest, minister, and speaker at various churches, centers, and events, and a frequently requested facilitator of seminars and workshops related to such things as radical and audacious self-care, living with purpose, grief, forgiveness, LGBTQ empowerment, exploring and expressing one's creativity, and more. In addition to this, until very recently, he served as the co-lead and interfaith lead for his local Moms Demand Action chapter. As a survivor of gun violence, he also participated in the Everytown Survivor Fellowship Program. So I welcome Dr. Reverend Raymond Anderson.
Hello, my people. Hello. Thank you so much, Reverend Joy, for that amazing intro. Every time I listen to my intro, it's like, oh, I want to know who that sounds like a really cool person. So thank you so very much. And
Yes.
I feel like Bishop Durrell, I feel like I'm a Red Bull here or there. So buckle up, peoples. Buckle up.
Scoot over, Bishop. He's followed you out on that limb.
All
I
right.
love it. I love it.
Reverend Jeff knows me, so yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Dr. Raymond and
side
I
here or
have
there.
known each other for what, a decade, something like
At
that,
least.
on Facebook.
At least.
Yeah.
Amen. So,
So, Reverend Raymond, you call
Yes.
yourself an Imagineer, a
yes.
word that brings together imagination and engineering.
Yes.
So, how does this identity reflect your spiritual path?
Oh, excellent question. In so many ways. So, let's see, where do I want to start? So, everything that intersects for me, whether it's when I was learning American Sign Language and then became an interpreter, whether it's the theater aspect and stuff that I did, whether it's ministry, whether it's martial arts, whatever it is, when I got involved in New Thought and this whole idea of the law of attraction, green lights, parking spaces, princes and princesses. Oh my. It was like, okay, cool, I got you. But what really is manifestation? Because it's one thing to talk about, like what really is healing? What is this? Because oftentimes when I hear people talking about it, they talk about it as though it's a, I dream a genie or bewitched kind of thing. And it's presto, digito, magico, and there it is. And for me, I learned that everything we do is very much like an architect. You have an idea, and then you bring that idea into fruition. So, for example, when someone says, Ray, you're an architect, I want a house. I don't just go to the drawing board, start drawing a house, and then bring it to them. I have to have details. How many bedrooms? How many baths? Do you have any specifications? Do you want a fireplace? Do you want, what do you want? Oftentimes, I find in New Thought, we don't really know how to verbalize what we really want in order to create it. So for me, being an Imagineer is taking that aspect of the ephemeral and untouchable and engineering, which is a very practical, hard science, measurable thing, bringing them together and saying, okay, I have a concept of love. How do I engineer it to create the atmosphere of that brings about love and support and nurturing and community? Because just thinking about it or just talking about it doesn't make it so.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that Ernest Holmes talked about the use of emotion as part of this. I imagine that you have no problem whatsoever bringing that kind of energy into your visualizations.
You can stop. I am a very monotonous, monotone kind of. Yes. Thank you, Jeff. Because when Emmett Fox talked about the mental equivalence, and Dr. Holmes has that whole section in the Science of Mind textbook on mental equivalence and whatnot. And as I was working through it, several years ago when I was a student, there were a lot of things in there that I'm like, if this was written today, the languaging would be different. How would this really apply to? And so as I was working on it, and then, eventually became a minister and started teaching it, I started focusing on a mental equivalent. It's not just in mind, because that's what a lot of people think. As soon as you say mental equivalent, so I was like, look, check this out. One, we're always in alignment with something, because, people will say, you have to get in alignment with, I'm like, yes, but what are you in alignment with now? Because if I'm in alignment with fear and worry about the current political situation, then that's what I'm in alignment with. Versus, what do I want to be in alignment with? Peace, unity, community, joy as resistance. Okay, but we're always in alignment with something. So for me, I said mental equivalence. Thoughts, all things consciousness related, beliefs, paradigms. How am I communicating? Because our words communicate the thoughts. Words are thoughts given vibration, or if it's sign language, given visual mode of expression. So thoughts and words. Then what are the emotions that are tied to those words? Because if I say, together let us breathe and be at peace. Okay, I'm saying it. But if my thoughts are betraying and my emotions are then I'm not, like, there's a wrestling match. It's like the, Hulk Hogan in them. So I'm like, no, okay. So what emotions have to be in alignment with the words and the thoughts? And then what do I need to do? How does my behavior show up as? Because it directly relates to years ago when I was a fundamentalist Christian, believe it or not. And one of the things we used to say was, you and your life may be the only Bible that someone gets to read. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, wait, what? How does my life demonstrate my amen? Mm-hmm. I don't want my amen to just be something I say at the end of a prayer. I want someone to be able to follow me in my life with a hello and welcome to the Raymond Anderson reality TV show, where we follow Reverend Dr. Ray 24 hours, every day, every week. And I want the watching audience to say, one, he's goofy as all get out. But two, that he's actually doing his best to talk and walk and be in alignment with what he says. So for me, mental equivalence is all of this. And that emotional piece, yes, it is prime. It is the fuel that moves the vehicle. Without the emotions, it's just a lot of talk.
Okay. In New Thought, though, we present, we want everyone to be in graduate school. And we just present all of these very high-minded stuff, going all the way back to Greek philosophers, and it's heady and it's exciting, but not always very practical until it's practical. In mainline traditional theology, there's this they talk about orthodoxy versus orthopraxis, because what you do is really what you believe. I mean, you can have all kinds of debates and philosophizing, but what you do is what you believe, and what you do is what gets results. And so I want you to help us bring it down to elementary school, because a lot of people, they really do struggle with that. And so how can we just because no matter how long I've studied, no matter how long I've practiced, no matter how many great things have appeared in my life, no matter all the things I've survived, there is still one of two radio stations always playing in my mind. Mm-hmm. If I'm on the West Coast, it's KRIP. And if I'm on the East Coast, it's WFUK. And so it's WFUK radio or KRAP radio, just with crappy thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it's not as easy as affirmations or imagining something pretty or denying. I mean, all that has its place and all that's useful. But fundamentally, I was programmed in certain ways, and I've spent my life trying to deprogram some of that. And some people, that's an easier task than others, but for some people, that's very, very difficult. So what's a beginning step for the person who was thrown into graduate school, but they weren't really ready for that yet? They need some foundation.
So for me, the very first thing is identifying very clearly, one, what is the radio station that I'm listening to? And two, am I familiar enough with other radio stations to even be able to acknowledge there is another choice? Starting there. So as an example, my first experience with the thing called abuse started, I think, when I was, well, depends on which kind of abuse. Let's go with first time I was ever shot at. I was 5. The summer before kindergarten was 2 bullets whizzed by. One, I'm standing there, whizzed by my head. The second bullet was coming straight from my chest. but my sister-in-law, or who would have become my sister-in-law, she snatched me and pulled me out of the way. That's where it started. Family involved in drugs, violence. I stood in between my two parents, my mother and father, as they both pulled out knives and got ready to stab each other. And I, as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, stood between them, which is where my life as a codependent, trauma-triggered, seeking, vampiric kind of, it is my job to save the world. That's where it began. When I started getting into New Thought, and yes, I heard all the, Ray, change your thinking, change your life. All you have to do is change. And I'm like, it's not that easy.
I'm trying.
I'm trying. Like, what? And the thing that clicked for me was the realization, do I even know how to say what happy is? Like, that is such a foreign word. It might as well be in Japanese. But like, so really sitting there and saying, okay, turn the radio on. Hello and welcome to I'm Depressed Every Day, where we talk about doom and gloom. Please tune in. Okay, no, okay. Then I find something, and in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit like I can't get it quite into focus.
It's AM.
But I found it. How do I like move around and do like what we did as kids? You know, move the bunny ears on the refrigerator, on the TV, and move till you get it. It's like right there, channel 4. I Dream of Jeannie, and you got to do yoga to keep the thing on. But can I focus on this and then start to build from it? Because we have a lot of, if I'm being honest, trauma-induced theology and New Thought. Because when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2022, I think it was 2022, many of our colleagues, Ray, I'm concerned that you have this consciousness that boop, beep, 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 pump your brakes, pump your brakes. The me several years ago, I would have actually entertained that conversation. The me now, no, because I understand I didn't, the way you're making it sound, we create everything that we experience. No, we don't create everything that we experience. And to say that would say that my ancestors created the transatlantic slave trade. Or is that what you're saying? Are you saying that Emmett Till created the situation by which he got lynched? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that all of the Jews that went through the Holocaust, and are you saying that they created that? Because if you are, you also have to talk about the Nazis that created their aspect of it. And you have to talk about white supremacy and how why is that not also part of the conversation? See, it's real great when y'all say and blame and shame through New Thought. But so for me, the elementary school thing is, can I identify what I'm currently experiencing with great clarity? Reverend Joy said, Ray, talk to me about your life. Am I able to do it in ways that say, you know, Reverend Joy, I feel down. And Reverend Joy says, well, say more about that. Can I clarify what I mean? And then Reverend Jeff says, so what do you want to experience or feel? And with clarity, I can do that as well. Because then Bishop Durrell can say, then I can help you move from point A to point C.
Thank you. You have to acknowledge point A in order to move to point C. Thank you. Thank you.
And I think and there's 3 of you. So each and every one of you can tell me if you disagree with this, but I think sometimes especially New Thought started in a certain context. And the women were teachers, they were educated, they were professionals, and they were mostly of European descent. And of course, then the men took over eventually. And so then there's that aspect. And so there's no one telling me how I can fix my life maybe was out as a gay person, or maybe they weren't a 3rd generation abused child, or maybe they didn't grow up in a ghetto. You know, maybe they weren't Italian or Polish or whatever, and they lived in this inner city ghetto. Or like, so having not had my experience, you really can't tell me how to change it exactly. So I think that some people have more to work through than others, and it's sort of unkind to assume that's not true. You know, everyone has wherever I started. Some people are actually starting from even farther back, and it seems to me that we assume that we're all starting at the same place, and no two people start at the same place, let alone two groups of people.
Mhm.
And so, so I think that's an area that New Thought can improve. That we can realize that yes, these principles are universal and they work, and we don't all start from the same place, and we don't all move at the same rate. And
Mhm.
now, if I'm being short-sighted about that, then just kick in and let me know.
No, you are not. Because check this out. One of the biggest arguments that I got into, I don't even remember when it was, but I specifically said to someone, and correct me if I have the year wrong, but when Melinda Kramer invented or founded Divine Science, it was 1888-ish,
Exactly,
somewhere
yes.
in that vicinity.
Right.
And I said to someone, I asked the question, I said, if me, as a Black gay man, could go back in time to 1888,
Mm-hmm.
what would my experience of divine science be, or religious science, or unity? As a Black gay man in that era, what would my experience be? Would it be the same as Ernest Holmes, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Nona Brooke? Like, would it be the same?
Hmm.
And they had to, well, no, Ray, no, because it wouldn't. Because when you think of Emmett Fox, and he talked about as his example of having the right mental equivalent, he referenced a shoe black, a Black shoe shine boy who didn't complain about his lot in life as how someone accepts the goodness. He wasn't allowed to say in that area. So, Darrell, I'm right there with you 1000%, which is one reason why when we lump these things in as cure-alls, because if it actually did, we would have done it by now.
Right.
It would have already been done. But clearly there's something in our calculus that we're not, okay, we should be working for to figure out why instead of X. Or something in there isn't. And my thing is, what if we really embraced trauma-informed theology, truly liberation theology in New Thought? We would actually be addressing the underlying consciousness that actually outpictures as all of these things. And we wouldn't be trying to get a flesh-colored Band-Aid for Ray that isn't really flesh-colored for Ray. We would actually be getting Ray a flesh-colored Band-Aid.
Right.
Because the theology would apply directly to him.
Right.
And directly to Jeff, and directly to Joy, and directly to Darrell, and directly to, it would be, because that's what beloved community actually is.
Yes. Yes.
Meet people where they are.
We're a little bit ahead of where we sometimes are at this point. So let's do another round of questions before we get to the popcorn free-for-all. So Joy,
Okay.
do you want to start it all over?
All right. So, if you could speak directly to someone watching who feels unseen or unworthy, what message would you offer from the heart of divine science or spirituality?
My very first thing would be, for you, what does being seen look like? What does it feel like? Because once again, oftentimes, especially, for example, me, once again, as a Black gay man years ago, I didn't even know what it meant for me to be seen in a world, in a culture where I couldn't actually be seen. Because to come out then could have meant any number of things back then. So what would it mean for me to be seen? So once again, coming to this level of clarity to say, for me to be seen, truly seen, is to have conversation with someone where we actually talk about my thoughts, my fears, my worries. It's not about me, donning a pride flag or what. No, it's actually having conversation where when Jeff says, Ray, how are you today? I know that I can say, you know what, Jeff, I'm having a really challenging day emotionally today. And Jeff will say, talk to me about it, my brother. What's going on? Versus, oh, Ray, don't talk about, he's not going to shut me down, because what you think about, you bring about. So don't bring no dark, Debbie Downer stuff. It's got to be sunshine and daisies and glitter and Skittles. What does it mean for you to be truly seen? That's number one. 2, find someone that you trust who sees you and latch on, cherish that relationship and build from there.
Thank you.
Um, I want to build on this particular question because it fascinates me. Because as I was listening to you, I was thinking of people that I've talked to who brought problems to me. And I've thought about people that I brought my own problems to. And it seems that I think everybody seems to have one or two issues, sometimes more, that kind of like seem like their life theme or something that's plagued them. It's like Paul talks about in the Bible, the thorn in his side, and no matter how he tries to pray to get rid of it, he just can't.
Mhm.
So knowing that God is everywhere present, equally and evenly, all throughout this, how do we approach helping somebody who brings us one of those thorn in the side issues that, for me, one of my big things since I have been an adult have been health related. Not There have been a couple of major things, but mostly they're a little more low key and minor, but they keep coming up with interesting regularity. So let's use me. Use me as your guinea pig.
Okay, so
This is a big one.
no, I got you. I got you. So, and I'm just trying to figure, like, where do I want to start? So, one, usually what I do when I'm talking to people about whatever the problem is, I invite them to recognize that the problem isn't the problem, right? Like even the word problem, we make that to be the thing versus if you bring a problem to a mathematician, they're excited about it, right? So for me, it's how do we start to say, what is the actual issue? Right? Like, so for example, throw me in there for a second. One of my longstanding things has been related to abandonment for a variety of reasons and thanatophobia. By the time I was 10, I had already seen and been to at least 150 viewings and or funerals. I developed a very unhealthy obsession, avoidance with all things death. And that frequently comes up when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. It came up like, oh, yeah. So for me, it's okay. How am I looking at this? Am I looking at this problem 7 plus 3, which only has one answer? There's only one answer to 7 plus 3. It's not A and it's not 12. But if I remove this, I remove everything from the left-hand side of the equal sign and I start with 10. How many different ways can I get to 10? Now it's limitless. So once again, I invite people to say, focus on what is it that you want to experience. That's your equal 10. And then how many ways, even with the challenges, the problems, the whatever that is, even with that, you can still work on 10. Rather than looking at healing as a one and you're done, put it in the microwave, pop 10 seconds and it's done. I remind people healing and breathing are the same. No one wakes up in the morning and says, oh, okay, so let me put it in my smartphone, my smartwatch. Okay, breathe 112 times today, and then I'm done. No, you breathe and you keep on breathing, right? At least on this side of the life after life. Like we keep on breathing. We brush our teeth. We comb our hair for those who still have. Like we continue to do these maintenance related things. We continue to eat. No one says, oh, Bishop Darrell, I'm so tired of fixing breakfast. When am I finally going to be done with this eating thing? When you transition and go like, what? What were you even asking me?
Yeah.
Healing is the same. It's an ongoing process, like breathing, like loving, like laughing. There are going to be moments where something is funny, you laugh. There are going to be moments when something isn't, you cry. There are going to be moments when you laugh and you cry while laughing. Healing is the same. It's not a one and you're done. What is your 10? So specifically, since Jeff put yourself out there, so I would ask specifically for you, even amid the various health challenges, what is your 10 that says, even when I feel pain or when I this or when I have to advocate for or when I have to, wring somebody's neck over the phone, even with that, what is my 10? So that what I always have this to come back to. I have this as my foundation. I have this as my rooted principle. I have this, even on the challenging days. I don't like it when it rains, but I have my umbrella. I don't like it when it rains, but I have my raincoat. I don't like it when this happens to my body or my mind or my relationships, but I have this to carry me through it.
And I love that no matter what the issue, the problem is, and no matter who it belongs to, it's like I heard once in a 12-step meeting, no matter what the addiction is, the cure is always the same.
Yes.
So I love that no matter, we talked about me and you addressed me directly, but this can be done by extension for everybody because we are all one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you were talking about you may be the only Bible someone sees, you actually demonstrate that. I mean, you might be the only Science of Mind text somebody sees. 1926 version, because I like it better. But but you actually demonstrated that when you had your health crisis. The way you told the world on social media was, I've got this information and we know what we need. We know what we know. So let's get to fixing this. Like you shared without inviting a lot of chaos or a lot of disturbance or a lot of contradicting, like you basically said, people are with me, be with me, let's do this. And you didn't, and you were very clear about it. You set that boundary up front. Here's my experience. And we all know the truth. And so let's get on this. And that's how you presented it. And you walked in that, I guess, the whole time. So you really, your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks louder than your talk talks. And so you actually demonstrated how to do that. I do have another question for you, though. And it's sort of in the same line that we've been talking about with healing. Is there such a thing as, there is such a thing. It's not a question. There is such a thing as new thought guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced it, a lot of people, that when you get that bad news, what did I do wrong? I'm supposed to know better, as if just every day, like if every day's not a great day, you have somehow screwed up and you feel guilty about it. And then like, how can I teach prosperity when I'm 3 days late on this bill? Or how can I teach health when I can barely get out of bed with this back pain or whatever? And so can you and of course the guilt doesn't make anything better. It probably slows the improvement. So can you talk about, help us heal from new thought guilt?
Oh my, well, okay. So the number one thing is shedding the idea that somehow by practicing, by studying, by being ordained in new thought, becoming a practitioner or a chaplain or whatever, release the idea that somehow this thing is a bulletproof vest, magic bracelets that do stuff, and release that idea. We are human. We are the divine, individualizing itself, expressing itself, showing up as. That's why Pierre's quote, we're not human beings having a human experience. And I remind people, we're spiritual beings having a spiritual experience that we call human. And oftentimes we get into that thing of, if I meditate enough, I will never be sad again. If I pray enough, I will never let that. Oh, I got ready to say bad words. Let all of that nonsense go. Instead, simply embrace and say, because sometimes, not always, but sometimes the one who teaches prosperity, who has had challenges paying bills, is precise. Look, I don't want to learn prosperity from Oprah, because when Oprah inhales, she getting passive income of $10 million. I don't want to talk to her. I want to talk to the person that's like, okay, so I'm gonna go crush these cans and cash them in for some aluminum stuff. I want to talk to the person who actually understands living in a food desert.
Yes.
They understand. So oftentimes our human experience is the very scripture that informs our theology that connects to people. And when we buy into that idea of guilt, like somehow it shouldn't stink. Wait, what? Like if okay, so Reverend Joy, sorry to put you on the spot, but how much would I have to write out a check for you to have like prayer and stuff so I never have to poop again? What? wait, what did you just like? Somehow we think that if we get spiritual enough,
Right. Right.
even though we say before enlightenment, constipation, diarrhea, after enlightenment, constipation, diarrhea. Enlightenment doesn't mystically, magically make it go away.
Yeah.
It changes how you navigate it.
Or chop wood.
Yeah.
Or do laundry, or
Yeah.
it changes how you do it.
That's right. That's right. It's the energy you bring into it, the thoughtfulness, the consciousness.
Mhm.
Yes.
In
Yes.
Fort Worth, Texas, in the 90s, I was preaching somewhere, and afterwards, someone came up to me and said, "That was damn good preaching." Well, friends, we've got some damn good teaching today, and it's
Yes.
provided by New Thought Media Network. And so we're going to take a break right now and hear about them some more, and we're going to come back to some more damn good teaching.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you.
You know what? You can ask questions. There's a comment section. You can ask questions. Someone has actually, you see this, has actually texted me. So let me read you some of these. There's actually a few. I don't know if we even have time for all of them, but I'll just go down the list as long as we have time. Dr. Anderson, have you reconciled your upbringing religiously to where you are today?
Yeah.
Next question.
Yes, it was an arduous process in the beginning, because there was a lot of stuff about damnation and hell and just a lot of it and how it was tied to family and stuff. But then I reached a point where it was, you know what, wait a minute. It's like that story of the two monks, the one older and the younger, and they're walking and there's a woman at the edge of the river and the older monk picks her up and carries her across, puts her down, and they keep on going. And the younger monk is stewing, and eventually he blasts me like, "We were taught to never," and the older monk says, "I put her down back at the riverside. Why are you still carrying her?" I got to a point where I said, you know what? I can actually put this, and then it was a completely different process from then. But yes, I have.
Excellent. Here's another one. How were you welcomed being fully out as a Black gay man in New Thought?
For the most part, in New Thought, for the most part, fine. There are a couple of places in there where there have been some like microaggressions, and it's like, oh, what is that? Was that covert homophobia, or which I don't use the word homophobia anymore. I call it homomizia because it's not fear, it's hate. So I'm once again clarity. I'm calling a thing a thing. So I was like, huh. But outright stuff, no. I've experienced more racism outright than I have anything regarding, which being the Black part, but regarding the gay part, not so much.
Yeah.
Now,
if
this isn't.
if I could jump in just for a second, you have experienced a lot of the same things that probably Bishop Durrell and I have as gay men as well. But New Thought is very forgiving. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a gay person in this movement, because we have ordained gay people, gay men and lesbians, for years and years and years, way before the Presbyterians.
Oh, sure.
And even before Reverend Perry started MCC.
Yeah.
So, and Johnny Coleman, founder of Universal Foundation for Better Living, was originally Unity, but she experienced a lot of that racism that you talked about. She came out.
She confronted it, though. She really confronted it.
Confronted it. And to go into her church now and to see what she built, where if this had been 100 years ago, she would not have been able to have done that. So yeah. So
and now that Reverend Jeff has outed me, I guess I will say I am gay. And so is
the
my
best
husband.
kept secret in New Thought. Nobody knew until now.
Oh wait, y'all! I just looked up. My leather pride stole is hanging right above me right now. By the way. Okay, I think there's one more. What is your New Thought take on the current political situation as it relates to marginalized communities?
Oh, that's a whole nother show right there. So my short answer, if I can do such a thing, is I equate it with being a firefighter. A firefighter can't effectively extinguish a fire if they can't locate it. That's number one. Number two, once it's located, you have to know what is the origination of it. Because if it's a grease fire, you ain't trying to throw water on it. If it's an electrical fire, you're not trying to throw water on it. So you also have to know what started this fire, what exactly is going on to be able to address it effectively. Everything that's going on with, fascism and all of the shades of and all of the fires, through it all, I remind people several things, specifically in New Thought. The consciousness that allowed this current administration to get where it is and to do what it's doing started a long time ago. Even stuff regarding Project 2025 started back with Reagan as a formalized group of people architecting, crafting this thing that we're now seeing being built. But the blueprint has been as far back as Reagan. So for me, it's if we want to see, the vision for CSL is a world that works for everyone, which I don't do everyone. I do a world that works for all, because it's got to work for Mother Nature and the polar bears and all. So the only way we're going to do that is by having honest conversation like a physician. When physicians get together, say they're cardiologists, they get together and they show diagrams and images of diseased and broken and enlarged hearts. Why? For the sake of just showing it? No, for the sake of how do we address healing this? We don't tend to do that in New Thought. We won't call a thing generally and actually go there and address it. We won't do what Johnny Coleman did, right? Generally, as a movement, we don't do it. If we want to change this, if we want to change The Handmaid's Tale from becoming a real life reality TV show, then we have to be willing to address consciousness, our own, individually, as well as collectively. When we're having conversation and something comes up, as Bishop Durrell mentioned, when people came at me with the, but what kind of thoughts are you thinking to have created prostate cancer? And if that's what you're going to talk about, go somewhere else. I don't have time for that nonsense about New Thought. That's not the way it works. Because if it did, okay, let's do an experiment. You're saying that your thoughts can create. That's what you're saying. How long would it take for you to sit down at your dinner table, meditate, think, and pray, and create a meal, manifest the meal? How long is that going to take? It's going to take a long time. You probably starved to death before it manifested. So clearly there are other factors involved in this thing called creation. If we're going to apply New Thought to politics and education and immigration and genocide and all of these things, then we have to be willing to have very challenging, courageous, and brave get in there conversations. It's the only way we're going to do it.
This in New Thought, we tend to be we're all about our New Thought orthodoxy, and we forget about the orthopraxy. So I know that Reverend Joy is a manifestation of the divine. I know she is part and parcel of God. I know that she is innately perfect, whole, and complete. I know that my earbeat just and all these things. But I see her being cruel. I see her being selfish. I see her hurting people. So if I say, Joy, cut it out, invariably one of my colleagues is going to say, "Aren't you judgy? Like that's God over there. How are you?" But she's being mean to other people who are also God, and that's not how you treat God. So can you address that we get so caught up in our philosophy that we sometimes don't address the practice?
Right.
So plain and simple, yes, all God, without a doubt. Yes, we'll start there. All God, which means Jeffrey Dahmer was God, right? Jeffrey Dahmer was all God. Ted Bundy, all God. Would we say that what he did was okay, or what they did? Would we say it was okay?
No.
They committed murder, and Jeffrey Dahmer, cannibalism. Is it judgment for me to say that that's what they did and that it's unacceptable?
No.
For me to say, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer, he's, misunderstood, and he's just not okay. Maybe judgment in there. Okay, maybe because I'm creating story around it. But if I say I've witnessed treatment that is not nice, kind, compassionate, I've witnessed bullying and aggression, and I've witnessed it. These are facts, not feelings. I can share my feelings about it, but what I'm saying are facts. Then that's not judgment. That's new thought, metaphysical masturbation, new thought, metaphysical malpractice, and bypass. Because people don't want to actually address it and say, because then what comes up is, well, if we acknowledge that, then I have to acknowledge that God, as human, does heinous things sometimes. How do I reconcile that? How do I reconcile that Hitler is an expression of God who committed atrocities? How does new thought inform me there? So people would rather avoid that.
Yeah. One of the things that I tend to bring up when I do the Friday Fireside Chat show in the evenings with Reverend Michael is we make fun of a lot of this stuff simply because there's so much fear going on right now around so many of these different issues that you have to take that out, because if we can switch the energy around, change it up a little bit, and we have a better opportunity, a better chance to see it change into something a little more something that works for all. So you're gonna see me, and it's not gonna look spiritual to some people to make fun of somebody, the president in the White House, maybe even call him a name, whatever. The thing of it is, if we take the sting out of that, if we take the fear out of that, but we also cannot forget that, like we said earlier, you might not like what he's doing, but you cannot deny the truth of the matter is still an individualized individualization of God. He is God incarnate, as we are. It's a really fine balancing act that we do, and it's really sometimes.
Yeah, but there's one thing within it. I mean, and if it is, what we've committed our lives in substance, then there's just the one. And some people don't use that in ways that there's still just the one.
Right.
With Reverend Joy,
if I may, real quick.
Always
Yes.
Joe.
There are several comedians. This is to Reverend Jeff's point. There are several comedians that I have heard some form of a biography or something from them. Robin Williams being one of them. And it talks, each of them in one way or another has shared how comedy and humor was the thing that helped them to navigate trauma. So being able to, it goes back to what Jeff said about the emotional part of the mental equivalent. If I can disarm the anger and frustration that I feel about whatever's going on, whatever executive thing was signed today. I can disarm it with humor. Then the anger and all that stuff gets reduced, which now puts me in a place where now I can effectively converse about it with a way or with the energy of transforming and healing it versus from here just being angry and blasting and cussing about it. It's very different.
My gifts, I must admit. No, the joy is healing. So if you really want to act out, because it is empowering, it is healing. So I think a lot of us use that humor and laughter and joy was a survival. And a lot of the things we learned in our youth were smart to keep. Rev up every week. You get the last word again.
Yeah. So.
It's been a wonderful time together. I really appreciate it. I've learned so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay tuned for future episodes. We have some wonderful guests lined up next week. Reverend Tenye Cosmina, third generation divine science minister, will be joining us. And the following week, Reverend Dr. Tim Stewart, who is well known as president of INTA, will come and speak with us. And the following week, we will be honoring Reverend Cynthia Lippert, who has made her transition. And we will be joined by Reverend Candace G., who works closely with her. So until next time, come back again. It's just been great. And just we're thankful for New Thought Media Network. Join us again, Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. And we know that divine science everywhere means God in all, through all,
In all,
and
as all.
blessings until next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.